everyone. Today we're going to talk about writing a narrative. I like to assign narratives because most students enjoy writing this type of essay because of the fact that you don't have to do any research, given the fact that you are the original source, if you will, for the assignment itself, and then also because who doesn't like to write about themselves, right? So let's go ahead and get started. I will share my Prezi presentation. Go ahead and talk about narratives. If in the reading for this week, you will know what a narrative is, but I want to give you the highlights of it, if you will. So let's go ahead and get started. So a narrative is a personal story. It's a story about a personal experience that, of course, needs to have happened to you. It has to be factual. I don't want you to write about something that could be theoretical or fictional. It has to be about yourself. All right, and the narratives provide a good way for not only for me to get to know you, but most importantly for you to understand yourself and know yourself a little bit better. And it also shows how you became aware of something and how you gained a new way of seeing the world, if you will. The characteristics of a narrative: they describe specific experiences that changed how you felt, how you thought, or how you acted based on this particular experience. And you need to describe to your reader your experience instead by showing to your reader instead of telling. So for example, if I say something was fun, does that tell you that anything was fun? No, it doesn't. It just says that you know what the word fun is. But for this particular assignment, you have to be able to describe what fun is. Keep that in mind. Keep in mind the fact that in this assignment, you want to show the reader, don't just simply tell. Going back to the fun example, if I say fun, it doesn't tell you anything, but if I use words that show you what fun is, that is a different story. Then you draw me into the story, and that's what I want you to do for this particular assignment. As far as the features of a narrative, you are trying to recreate the story for your reader by using vivid language. That's how you create it instead of just simply talking about it. So pretend that you and I are having the same experience and you want me to go through it with you. That's where using vivid language comes in, which is why you had the exercise on doing vivid sentences, writing vivid sentences. You have to tell your story in a sequence. In other words, don't jump around. You have to tell me first this happened, then this happened, and then lastly, this is how the story ended. This is critical. This is how students get the best grades. Those students who are able to write vividly using descriptive language are the ones that get the higher grades than those who simply use their words such as fun or it was great or terrible. Describe all of those words. Typically, in a narrative, you discover or you present changes, contrasts, or conflicts because they make for better stories instead of talking about like a happy type of story. There's usually not a lot of growth from that. Continue with the features. The reason why I like to assign this assignment first is because of the fact that you can write in first person. Yes! So you can use I all you want. I, me, my, mine, ours, us, we. Whereas when you start writing the research paper, you will not be able to use first person. But whatever you do, do not use you in this essay because you refers to me. And I was not in this particular experience with you. So therefore, don't use you in as you tell your story. Unless, of course, you're quoting somebody. If somebody says, hey, you know, that's dialogue, so it's okay to use it. Make sure that your story communicates a point or a dominant impression. In other words, what is it? Why was this particular story so meaningful to you? What about it makes it significant? Did you grow out of it? Was it a terrible experience in the sense that you felt a great loss, or you were emotional, or you felt the sense of responsibility? So make sure that we are able to know why this particular story was meaningful to you. These are the ways to plan your narrative. Make sure you pick a story that is worthy. I know a lot of you are thinking, I don't have anything worthy. We all have something important that has happened in our life that changed how we think or how we view the world or something about ourselves. So think about that particular story. But on the other hand, don't write about a topic that's too personal unless you're okay talking about it. A couple of years ago, I had a student who wrote about how she was raped at a high school party. And the reason why she wrote about this was because it was part of her therapy, and she was at that point where she was okay writing about it. If you're okay with writing about personal event, that's okay. Just keep in mind that I will read it as well as your peer, two peers for the peer review. Also, choose an event that takes place in a specific date. Your event needs to have happened at least 2 years ago to 5 years ago. Why? Because you need to have had some time to reflect on it. If something happened yesterday, is there a lot of time for reflection? No, because it just happened. I haven't had a lot of time to grow from it. Therefore, keep this in mind. And then on the same token, your event needs to, because of the page requirement, your event needs to take place within a 5-hour period at most, because if it takes place 5 months, 3 months, you're not going to be able to write about it in 3 to 4 pages, which is what your essay requirements are. Make sure that you find the relevance in the story. In other words, what about the incident provided new insight or awareness? In other words, how did this make you grow? How did this change you? That's why you're picking a topic that is worthy for this particular assignment. This would not be a good thesis statement saying, I will never forget my first trip to Disneyland because it was fun. See what I'm talking about? If I say fun, it's boring. I don't know what that means. I want you to tell me why it was meaningful. It doesn't really say anything. There are a lot of things that are fun, but that doesn't mean that they change us necessarily, right? Whereas if we were to recall or reword this thesis statement, something like this: my first trip to Disneyland helped me choose my career as a graphics designer. See, that makes sense because we understand why that particular trip was so important. It wasn't just fun. It was meaningful in the sense that this particular individual decided to pick a career based on this trip. Again, emphasize the fact that you need to describe the details to your reader to recreate the story. So just simply tell me. I want you to walk me through it. Brief list of topics on Canvas. I will post a very lengthy list of potential topics in case you're completely lost. But usually, winning and losing types of stories, they share a lot of insight on ourselves. So keep that in mind, whether you won a contest, a race, lottery, some kind of championship. Typically, losing is more painful and offers more insight into an individual. But of course, maybe you won the lottery and you bought homes for underserved people or something along those lines. That could certainly be good. Additional topics. These are just some ideas, of course. And again, there's a list on Canvas that has a lengthier suggestions. There are, of course, topics that you cannot write because they just don't make for good narratives. And this is based on personal experience from other students. They just don't work. Coming of age parties, like your quinceañera, your bat mitzvah, your sweet 16. Weddings also fall in this category. Accidents, unless it was like a life-changing accident, avoid them. Same thing with the drunken brawls or encounters with police officers. They have to be really meaningful. If you think, oh, I have an event that is in this list of subjects to avoid, but I really think it changed me, feel free to send me an email and tell me about it. I might be able to make an exception, but for the most part, stay away from these topics because you will just get bogged down in the details. First, I got my hair done, then I got picked up, and then we had dinner, and then we danced, and they're boring, so avoid them. Trust me, they haven't made good narratives from previous students. And then finally, as how to structure your essay. It is a 5-part structure, and that just makes it easier. In this case, it will fit within the 3 to 4 page requirement. So your essay will have 5 paragraphs. Not all essays will have 5 paragraphs, but in this case, this one will. You will have your introductory paragraph, and not only will your intro include a hook, but it will also include the setting. You need to tell me where did this happen, when did this happen, and who was involved. The beginning of the story. So think of your story in 3 parts. You need to break it up in the beginning, the middle, and the end. Your beginning goes right after your intro. The climax is the 3rd paragraph, and this is the high point of the story. This is your aha moment. This is where you realized, oh, this is how it has changed me. So keep that in mind. And then there is the 4th paragraph, which is the resolution. That is the end of the story. That is not the end of your essay. Keep that in mind. The last paragraph is the conclusion, which in this case is known as a reflection. And this is where you tell us why this particular event changed, how it has made you different, why you wrote about this particular event. This is the paragraph that shows growth from the particular event. As you will see on the samples on Canvas, there's an outline that gives you the template as to how to outline your essay. And there is also an example from a previous student who wrote a fairly well-written essay last semester. So I hope that helps you, and that is all I have. I hope you enjoy writing this assignment. I encourage you to think about writing a topic that really will grab us, that will get your reader to be intrigued, and most importantly, that will get you a good grade. I will talk to you soon. That's it. Bye.